Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Brothers Take podcast. I am Kris, and I am joined by my brother Eric.
Hello.
We are back in the room to talk more gaming, and we've got a jam-packed episode this week. You'll notice we don't have Adam. We won't have Adam for the next couple of weeks, actually, because he is on his way to China. He's teaching over there again. We wish him the very best of luck, and we look forward to when he does return that we can catch up with him again and get his take on various gaming topics upon his return. But for this week's episode, myself and Eric are going to be giving our take on the PS5 Slim. It has been announced and it is real. Xbox has officially acquired Activision. They finally got them. And we did talk about this earlier in the year, wondering would it happen? Would it happen this year? When would it happen? It's officially after happening. And we have an official confirmation. It's no longer rumors, even though everyone knew it. Everyone could tell by the voice. But Matt Mercer is officially Vincent Valentine. That was confirmed at the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth cast panel at New York Comic Con. And we'll be talking about that panel too. So those are kind of our main topics this week, but we'd love to hear from you guys. Make sure to share your own takes, your own thoughts, your own comments as the episode goes on, either on YouTube down in the comments down below if that's where you're watching this. And of course, if you are watching us here, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell if you enjoy this discussion and if you want more content from us. If you guys listen to us on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twixter at The Brothers Take, again, to give your take on everything we bring up in this week's episode. And if you're here for only one of those topics, if there's something in particular you want to check out, then use the timestamps in the description to jump to the part of the conversation that you're most interested in. Check that out, and it'd be, make sure to share your take. But without further ado, let's talk gaming. All right, let's start with PlayStation, the PS5 Slim, long rumored, long speculated about.
I mean, I don't know why people speculate anymore. Doesn't that usually happen?
Yeah, of course. I think the speculation was more like, when will it happen?
Oh, right.
Like,
okay.
when is like, it was like inevitable. It's like, of course they're going to do one.
Because there was a PS2 Slim, a PS3 Slim. I know there was a PS4 Pro. Was there a PS4 Slim actually?
Something to that level, I'm sure. But there's always like
the original, the Slim, because the Pro was bulkier. So maybe the original Slim.
Maybe they did it the reverse that way.
Yeah.
They always have like some sort of mid-generation, like new hardware or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's, I don't know. I think it's a shame that they announce these things in the form of a blog that, unless you're following, you wouldn't even know about.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it gives it no gravitas. Like, it's like, yeah, sure, like we're doing that, and it's like, do you have any pride in your products at all? Like, fucking give it a bit of something.
In one of their PlayStation state of plays this year, they had like the big announcement for like get the PS5 in 3 different colors, and it was a really cool presentation.
Right.
Sure, yeah. Not that I didn't care about them, but how they presented it was really cool. And yeah, this was just, oh, by the way, here's the PS5 Slim, and I think other people had to like do 3D renders just to show people, although this is how much smaller it is, because
it was kind of hard to tell off just that picture on its own, because I mean, it was just the disc drive version and the digital version of the new Slims beside each other, and it's like, we have nothing to compare with though, because
the disc drive version looked bulkier because the disc part came out further than what it does on the original.
So what are your thoughts on it, or did you have any thoughts on it?
Well, when I got to see when people were comparing, it is definitely smaller and slimmer for sure. I saw somewhere where you have to, if you want it to stand horizontally, maybe I have the information mixed up, but if you want it horizontally or vertically, one or the other, you have to buy a separate stand. Is that correct? I see that somewhere.
Correct. So the horizontal stand will be included.
Okay, so the stand horizontally, okay.
Which is
that's
lying down. That's included.
Yeah.
Even though in all the pictures they're showing it standing up. The vertical stand, which is compatible, will be sold separately.
Why are they doing that?
Right. I think that the way they're pricing all this and packaging all this I'm not crazy on it, right? So, from a
Mm.
size perspective, I like it. It's a
Right. Yeah.
much
Yeah.
tidier looking version of the PS5. And obviously, it's going to fit in home units a lot easier. People have even shown that if you have a backpack of a certain size, you could fit it in your backpack. People could actually travel with this one. If that's the kind of lifestyle you have, where you're traveling around a lot and you're gaming a lot, you could bring this around with you and then hook it up to wherever you're going. Whereas with this standard PS5, obviously, you can't really do that. Like, it's fucking huge. Like,
Mm.
I love it, but it's massive, right? I think the disc drive version of this looks ugly as fuck. I think
Yes,
it
because
looks.
it just juts out too far.
Yeah,
To be
and
honest, yeah,
because of the height, it's
yeah,
more noticeable. So now
Mm.
it's like a little short thing with a stump on it,
yeah,
nearly. It's like, whereas I think the digital one looks really neat and really clean,
Mm.
right? However, I'm not liking the indication of, and I mean, we already know that this is where things are going,
Yes,
right? I don't think there will be a disk drive in the next generation. I
probably not,
think
and that's
this
gonna be
is
very sad.
I think this is the end of discs. I think that's what we're getting at here, because you can buy a disk drive separately to add to the digital one if you would like, right?
Okay.
To me, what that says is, now in the end, if you do that, it works out more expensive than just buying the disk drive one, right?
Yes.
So it's like, okay, why would you want to do that? However, to me, it's like, oh, okay, well, the digital one's cheaper. So I'll just buy that now, and I'll get the disk drive later on.
Mm.
Like, even though in the long run it's more expensive, like, in the moment it's cheaper. So then
Yes.
I'll be able to do both anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then when you have the digital one and you're gaming with it and you're gaming digitally for a while until you decide to get a disk drive, you might go, you know what? I'm actually enjoying it this way. I don't miss the disk drive, so I won't get the disk drive.
Right, because it's a
And
lot easier.
the transition becomes then everyone's now gaming digitally.
Yes. Yeah.
These are going to be the standard, by the way, when the PS5 models that are at the moment, when they're all sold, they're not making any more of those. The PS5 Slim will be the only one you can get then after that point. It'll be the
I
new
think
standard.
that's quite common as well with PlayStation. Whenever they release a slim one, that becomes
Yeah.
the standard one. Which fair enough. I mean, they're probably easier to make. And then if it's cheaper for gamers to buy them, I suppose that's also good for the company. I already have the PS5, so again,
Of
I'm not
course.
going to get it. And I suppose if people are interested, like, I mean, we have a friend who wants to get the PS5. She just still doesn't have it.
Mm.
At least now there's this one which is cheaper than the bigger one. So
But interestingly, so the the disk drive version is cheaper than the current disk drive version.
mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
Yes.
The digital version, which I think looks like the cleanest and tidiest version of the PS5, right?
Yeah.
Is more expensive by a little bit, is more expensive than the current digital version
What?
of the PS5.
Who did the maths there? Who?
At least if I'm reading this right? Because, okay, so I'm looking at the European prices here at the moment.
Okay.
Wait now. So in Europe, they're saying that the PS5 with the Blu-ray disc drive will be $549.99. Is that not more expensive, actually? Was it 500 at launch or was it 600 at launch?
I think it was 600 at launch, but that's still quite pricey.
Surely is. And then actually? I think they're both more expensive. I could have sworn the PS5 at launch was 500, and the digital version was 400. But here I'm reading that the PS5 Slim will be 549.99, so basically €550, or the digital one will be €450.
Okay, so I've just looked up, all right. I've just looked up PS5 launch price, okay?
Yeah.
And the original PS5 console with optical drive and DualSense controller, the digital edition was €499.
Really?
Yeah, or there's a €399. That's weird.
Yeah, the disc drive was 499.
Oh, right. Yeah, so it's $499 and then or $399 if you went digital.
Right.
Yeah, space
So
digital.
so the Slim is more expensive than the original launch? Is that normal? I think that's weird.
That sounds very weird. Who did their fucking financing and maths there? That
And
doesn't
then
make sense at all.
and then to stand it up vertically
Costs
to
more.
costs more as well. So look, I don't think this is like the best announcement you could make. To me, it's like, okay, it looks tidy and all, but this isn't like a big major like woohoo. I don't think for PlayStation personally. I
Not as much as like because what that was announced earlier this week of recording, wasn't it? Pretty much.
yes, yeah.
And
So last week, at time of people hearing this, yeah.
yeah, last week of time people hearing this, and then we had within the same week Xbox acquiring Activision, and so that's a much bigger win because PlayStation had no showcase for this. They had no big announcement. It was just a blog, and now we're just finding out through research that it's more expensive.
Yeah. Now I'm
Like,
sure. I'm sure over time that price is going to go down, obviously, and maybe it's that to get because they're advertising it that it's the same power as the current one, like it's just as powerful, just as much storage. Maybe it is more expensive to get that into a smaller size. Like maybe there's components. I'm not a technical guy. Adam would probably have a better read on this.
Oh,
and,
Adam would love this right now. He just
this, he'd probably have a better read on like the hardware and that kind of stuff. But
yeah.
like maybe to get the current machine running in this smaller, more compact size, but still running perfectly well, maybe the materials are more expensive. I have no idea. But the way this is being written out and you can buy certain things separately and all this kind of stuff,
Right.
it just doesn't really scream like, oh, this is really exciting.
For
Personally.
the non techie heads of gamers, which there are plenty out there.
Yeah.
People we can all talk and discuss and love games, but it doesn't mean we're going to fully understand the jargon of what goes into the technical stuff.
Mm.
That doesn't scream very good when you're just looking at that. Like, yes, you can speculate, like what you're doing right now. You can speculate that maybe it does cost more to get into that slimmer version.
Yeah.
But at face value, you're kind of going to think smaller means cheaper because we associate nearly every product in the world with if you're getting less, it should be cheaper. And this looks like it's, you know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. And well, as well, when you're talking maybe, not that we are mid-generation. I hope we're not, because I feel like we're still only really early into this generation in a way, but
yeah, we're only getting started.
in a way, right? Because we still haven't totally left the PS4 behind, you know? But I also just think that usually as the newer things come out, that it gets cheaper as it goes.
Right.
Because it's like you kind of paid for the exclusivity in the beginning. Like you paid for you want to be the first to get there. Like you paid for the... Like you're some of the first in the world to play the new, PlayStation. But over time, it becomes the standard, and it's like, well, now you have to get it because the PS4 is no longer supported. So
yeah,
it becomes like, well, now everyone, if you're going to continue to play, everyone has to get it. So it becomes cheaper and more accessible and everywhere. But guys, let us know what you think of the PS5 Slim. Maybe you're like loving the design. Maybe you think the price point makes total sense. Or maybe there's a version you're going to look at getting. I think of the two, the digital makes a lot of sense and is lovely and compact. But the pricing confuses me. The fact that it doesn't come with the vertical stand, which is where you'd want to stand that up, confuses me because that lying down would not look good.
No.
And then also the fact that we are gearing more towards a digital future. Maybe I'm just a bit of an old begrudging person, but I don't like that. I like discs. I like the physical product of some kind. So
it's the same as the fact that we don't like the fact that you don't get booklets anymore,
Yeah, it takes away from the experience, right?
Like the one thing I love about The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077, having them physically, they came with booklets that you can read and look at, you know what I mean? And yeah, it is a pity we don't have booklets anymore.
Well, it just speaks to as well, like things like for example, right? And this isn't happening everywhere, but like a store like GameStop closed here in Ireland across the whole country because people aren't buying physical media anymore, or at least enough to keep that business running. Now, you could say, oh, so what? But lots of people lost their jobs as a result. They are out of work in a time where it's already very difficult to get work. That is not a good thing. The other thing is, for those of us who still do want to buy physical media, you know, we've got big games like Spiderman 2 coming this week. Hey!
Yeah.
We have to order that online now because we have nowhere to go and physically pick it up. Like, things like that. Like, that's, I don't know. I think it's not good, but maybe people are like,
also,
hey, look, just join the future, I guess. But
and also with digital, like if it becomes digital, right? And let's say they make it digital, but you can play Spider-Man 2 on the next console. Except you can't. You'd have to re-get it digitally if you've bought the physical version. You know what I mean? Like, so then you almost have to like boot up the old console, and yeah, like down the line, then all those classic games, you'd almost have to purchase them again or something, or yeah, I don't know, they'd have to do something about that. I'd say if there was,
they would, yeah. And you know, you can't just do things like, oh, can I borrow that from you, like from a friend? You know, you can't go, oh, I'll lend you that game. Can I play that game? That old classic thing of just like swapping games around, trying games out, renting games. If there's anywhere in your part of the world that does that, you know, you won't be able to do that if it's all digital. Buying a game cheap on sale because you'll be relying purely on the digital stores. Stores like here in Ireland, we have a CEX. I don't know where else people have that, but it's like a cash exchange. There's probably loads of stores like that in the world where people trade in their old games for money. Those would all eventually go. Like, they'd be able to keep going with the retro stuff, the really retro stuff, because, you know, but the more modern gaming, they would end up losing that market because everything would be digital. So this is not a now problem, but it's a, like, look down the line, it will be a problem. So I just, I'm not liking the look of the future. And I could see it then that everything is subscription based, that you never buy a game anymore. You pay the subscription, all the games are digital. That's where it looks like we're going.
And then transferring that onto other mediums, we probably won't have cinemas anymore down the line. Or they're just going to be like, Ireland being quite a small country, we probably have like 3 in the entire country that just show like old style movies. It's like an event or something, and that'll be it.
Like you think like cinemas might become like an art house experience across the board. Oh my god, I don't want to live in that future. Now, obviously, we're talking way down the line, right? But
yeah, we're talking year 2077.
No, way further than that. Stop now. Stop it. But guys, let us know your take. Maybe we're being a bit over dramatic about it, but let us know what you think. And let us know what you think
of the world.
Oh my god. Let us know what you think of the PS5 Slim. Are you excited for it? Do you care about it? Let us know what you think. But Eric, you mentioned another big piece of news last week, and a big win, I would say, for Xbox was that they have now officially acquired Activision Blizzard King. Huge.
Right. Are they 3 different companies, or are they all the one company?
They're all they're all the one company, I think. There are 3 kind of subsections of the one company.
Oh.
Like a Blizzard game, they're all connected. So it was one acquisition got all of them, not 3 separate acquisitions. This was do you remember we were talking earlier in the year? There was a court case about it. Everyone was trying to like stop Xbox from getting it. So lots of people weighed in and said it's not fair. I was very much of the opinion that I was like, I know that it's being delayed, but I think they're going to get it because I can't see a good reason why they can't. Because my whole thing was like, if they want to buy something and the person who owns it wants to sell it, why would anyone else have a right to stop that? It's like, this is literally how just the market works. It's like, if I came to you and was like, Eric, I would like to buy that picture behind you, and then you said, yeah, okay, I'd like to sell it to you actually, and we agreed on an amount, and then someone else just came in and went, I don't think you should have that, that's not fair, and it led to a court case where you couldn't sell it even though you wanted to, and I couldn't buy it even though I wanted to. Like, it was such a weird, to me it was weird that certain people in the industry even thought that they had a leg to stand on to say, no, And I know there was a whole thing about would it affect the market in a big way, but it's like, you know, you buy it then if you want to. Like, offer them a higher price if you want. And if you can't, then I don't know, tough maybe. But what do you think of this news now that Xbox has acquired?
Okay, so I mean, win for Xbox, and I suppose a win for Xbox players. It doesn't really affect Blizzard players all that much.
Right, most of them PC, right?
Most of them be PC. I mean, like their Blizzard's biggest game is World of Warcraft, which you can only play on PC. It does affect, I suppose. Does Blizzard make Overwatch? They do.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. They make Overwatch and they make Diablo as well as other products. So I suppose like that can be bought on PlayStation. So it affects the PlayStation people who play Overwatch, who play Diablo, who play Call of Duty. But I suppose then that's yet again what happens is that they'll buy the Xbox to get the next ones that are exclusive. So I think that's where people's point of view is coming from when they're saying it affects the market, in that it doesn't create healthy competition. People can lose out on jobs, as we were discussing with the digital thing. So that's where people have a problem. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect us. Anyone who wants to play the Candy Crush with King and all that, it's on their phone. They probably don't even realize anything has changed.
Yeah.
Anyone who's played Warcraft, don't even realize that anything has changed. It's really only for the people playing Call of Duty, Overwatch, and Diablo on the PlayStation. It affects them. It affects
they've said, and they said all along that they weren't going to take Call of Duty away from PlayStation.
Right.
Call of Duty will still release on PlayStation. They just own it. So when you boot up your Call of Duty on PlayStation 5 or whatever, the Xbox logo will come up. Do you know?
Yeah, and it'll say press the A button, and you're like, which one's the A button?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Press or B and or T.
I can't get past the menu. It's gotten so difficult. Now, they have come out and said as well, because they were asked about, look, what does that mean for like the upcoming, Modern Warfare 3 is on the horizon. Is that going to come to Game Pass? Obviously this deal is all too soon. No,
it's not going to affect that. It's going to affect everything down the line. Now, if they say true to their word, if Call of Duty is always going to stay on PlayStation, then, well, I suppose there's not much of an issue. Again, it only affects Diablo and Overwatch players, which again,
they might be cross-platform too.
Maybe it's just new releases then.
It hasn't been said. I don't know. You see, if I was Xbox, I would stay true to my word on the Call of Duty thing that it is going to be releasing on everything.
Yes.
However, and this is just, this might piss people off, but I mean, you have to look across the board as well. Fair is fair. I would probably go, but it's coming to Xbox first.
Yes.
So a timed exclusivity. It's like, it's not that it's not coming to PlayStation, but for maybe 6 months even, it's going to be on Xbox first. Now, that will matter a lot to the Call of Duty players who only play Call of Duty and make sure to get it on launch and are in on those maps and are streaming online and are who keep up with it. For them, it would become a purchase decision.
Yes.
Of, well, now I need an Xbox. But it wouldn't affect your average gamer or the mothers who buy the new Call of Duty for their son at Christmas or whatever it is.
Who's way underage.
Yeah. It's like, they're getting the new FIFA or FC as it's going to be called going forward. And the new Call of Duty, like those games, which are like the highest selling games every year, I think, because of that very reason. It wouldn't affect those people because they'll just get it on the chosen system when it's out on that system. You know what I mean? Like they're waiting until Christmas anyway. It's not like they always get it at launch. So, but yeah, if I was Xbox, that's what I would do, and it would not dishonor the agreement. It would just also give it. Xbox players have to come first. They're our players.
Yeah, PlayStation's done the same, where it's like exclusivity for like a certain amount of time, and then it gets released.
Absolutely, and I don't think they'd have a leg to stand on. To be fair, if like the PlayStation community was to be like, you can't do that, because it's like, well, hold on now, like how many Final Fantasy games have not yet come to Xbox? they're only just getting Final Fantasy 14, which has been on PlayStation for fucking years.
And same with like The Last of Us only came to PC recently.
And that's only PC.
And that's only
Right?
PC. That's not even Xbox.
That's never going to come to Xbox.
No.
You know, so it's like there's loads of games that PlayStation has.
It was fucked when it came to PC.
Yeah. But there's loads of games that like PlayStation have that will never come to Xbox. So I don't think it would be unfair of Xbox to have a little bit of exclusivity, even just for a little while. I like.
Yeah, and I suppose it's more so the only exclusives will probably come down to the new releases. If you know what I mean.
Possibly. Like the next Diablo 5, like, or whatever.
Well, that or even just the new IP. So what's the next new big game that they're going to release or whatever? Activision,
sure.
Whoever it is will be Xbox exclusive. Diablo and Overwatch, I could see them becoming just exclusive. But again, it doesn't really affect us. But I can see how it would piss off, especially Call of Duty players. You know what I mean? I think that's the big thing with Activision is because there's definitely probably a bigger audience there compared to the other games.
Yeah, massive.
I mean, I think probably the only other big one's Candy Crush.
yeah. Well, I have to say, the thing that excites me personally about this acquisition is because my Xbox is really for diving into Game Pass, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm there thinking about all of never mind the new, I'm thinking about all the old Activision games that might come to Game Pass over time. And heck, if I were them, I would take real advantage of the fact that the old Spider-Man games were Activision, right? Spider-Man 2 is coming out this week, big hype for it. I would definitely be like, oh, you all want more Spider-Man? Here's Spider-Man 2 from the PS2, or here's Spider-Man Enter Electro, or here's Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. Here's all those old Spider-Man games you could jump into on Game Pass. The old X-Men games, Wolverine's Revenge, X-Men Mutant Academy, Next Dimension, basically all the old Marvel games, Blade and Blade 2, like they were Activision. They also now have Crash Bandicoot. The old Crash Bandicoot games can go on it. Spyro, all the Spyro games can go on Game Pass. They did a couple of Tomb Raider games. They can go on Game Pass. Like, so I'm there thinking about, it's like, yeah, yous are all going, oh, what's going to happen to the next Call of Duty? And I'm going, lads, think about like the Game Pass library that could come out of this. Like, they had all the old Disney games, I think, as well, like Tarzan and stuff. Like, the library could be fucking huge from this acquisition, you know?
Maybe that's another problem then. Maybe that's why another reason why a lot of the companies are giving out.
I don't know, because like a lot of those games were just like available anyway, and I don't see it as like that means they like, so the ones that are on maybe PlayStation Plus, right? I don't think it means they'd take them off it. I think it would just mean that it's there as well. Like they have to work in partnership with like any, you know, if there's contracts that were already signed and things like that, like they have to honor those arrangements too, or maybe write up new contracts, or it's like, well, and games come on and off those platforms all the time. So they could go, right, the ones that you have them for the next 6 months, but in 6 months time, then they're coming off, or, you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't be an immediate, haha, you can't have that now, it's ours. Like that's not good for business either. Like they got to work in partnership with each other and stuff. So, but I think it could be exciting for Game Pass players what might come out of this acquisition, and it'll be interesting to see in the future, when do they start playing because it'll be a while, but when will they start playing the exclusivity card in some cases, or when will they start playing the timed exclusivity, or whatever they might do with it. It'll be, yeah, I don't think there'll definitely be nothing of that this year.
No,
and probably not even next year, but it could be the following year when that starts to come in, maybe. But
yes, and I do hope that this becomes a win for Xbox. They kind of need it. They've had a bit of a rough run.
Yeah, they do.
So that'd be nice, like it, because their acquisition of Bethesda didn't exactly work in their favor. Because people aren't exactly liking Starfield that much. It's not getting the huge praise, I suppose, that they were hoping for.
I think I think it's mixed on a critical reception. I think it has many millions of players playing it and loving it though.
Oh yeah, but it's not getting as raving reviews as, let's say, Baldur's Gate 3.
No, that's true. Yeah.
Right, because as in there is mixed, so it's not.
It's not the RPG of the generation, like.
Yeah, they're
Right.
not getting that big fucking win that they want. Now there is millions of players. I've seen lots of people mess around with, like, the physics and stuff, and lots of people mess around with the game. Some people
Yeah.
seem to be enjoying it, other people less so. There was one person actually made a joke. They were saying if Cyberpunk was made by Bethesda and they had it every time they opened any door, there was a loading screen. So when they tried to, like, open a car door, it's a loading screen. Try to go to a building, loading screen. I think they had something where it's like when they tried to go into their, like, character menu, it was a loading screen. So that was funny. But yeah, I've seen some people kind of mess around and have a bit of fun with it with Starfield. But yeah, I don't think it's as big of a win as Xbox were hoping.
Right.
But
So
I
maybe-
hope they get a win out of this.
Yeah, I hope so too. It'll be interesting to see next time they do an Xbox showcase. What they have to show, what kind of shadow drops they might do, things like that. But yeah, I'm excited from the Game Pass perspective of, like, oh, if there's ever a quiet gaming period, it's like, oh, jump into older games. Like, I think that's a fun thing to do.
Now, I do think PlayStation
Yeah.
needs to absolutely acquire either Square Enix
Oh, interesting.
or Ubisoft.
Okay. Which one do you think is more likely?
Square Enix is probably more likely.
Yeah.
Ubisoft might be the better one based on the diversity of IPs that they have.
Yes.
Like, Ubisoft is very good for innovating and re-innovating gameplay for different for new IPs as well as their current IPs. So I think that would be a good buy because you have Splinter Cell, The Division, everything that Tom Clancy ever has his name on. Ubisoft has all of them.
Yeah, and then all the Assassin's Creed. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm fucking. What else is there? Ubisoft has made loads. So Far Cry, you have all the Far Cries as well. So I do think, yeah, PlayStation needs to acquire one of those two. Square Enix more likely. Ubisoft probably the better choice.
Yeah, if I get where you're coming from, especially from, like, a purely, like, more general viewpoint. Ubisoft, obviously, because that's more like an Activision type thing where it's like it appeals to lots of gamers and not a very specific. Square Enix kind of appeal to specific types of gamers, the types of games that they make. There is a more natural relationship with Square Enix.
Yeah.
And as well, Square Enix, there was, like, reports of, like, huge money loss and things like that. Like, I feel like Square Enix would probably be easier to buy than Ubisoft. I'd say Ubisoft would cost, not saying Square Enix wouldn't, but I'd say Ubisoft would cost a fucking absolute bomb to buy.
Yes.
But I also wonder, would that be a good thing? Like, Square Enix, there's kind of two studios that I think, for them, not that they never have misses, they surely do, right? But there's two independent studios that seem to do really well quite consistently with their games, and to me that's Square Enix and Capcom.
Okay.
And I'm like, do you want to mess with that or touch that at all? Unless you're just going to buy them, but then you're like, keep doing what you're doing. We own you, but we're not going to dictate what you do. But I don't know if they'd meddle too much with Square Enix. I'd hope that they would just, they seem to have a really good relationship with them. Like, they're already getting the exclusives from them. So do they need to buy them? Like, I know, okay, so 14 is now coming to Xbox. And a lot of Square Enix's other games will probably eventually go to Xbox. Which makes sense because you get to a point where it's like, well, okay, our exclusivity contract is over and we need more money. Like, we lost a lot of money, so we need to open it up to the fan base we haven't had yet, and make more money that way. But yeah, I don't know if we'll see. Like, it would be a huge win for PlayStation if they came out and if there was, like, an announcement that they have acquired Square Enix is now a PlayStation studio. But I wonder, would it be a good thing for Square Enix? It'd be a good thing for PlayStation. I wonder, would it be a good thing for Square Enix? I don't know.
Well, maybe then maybe they should get Capcom.
No, do not touch Capcom. You leave Capcom alone. Capcom are fucking killing it. You leave them alone, right? You look at the fucking
Konami. They'll buy Konami.
The modern Resident Evil series alone, like, consistently are amazing. Street Fighter 6, I'm not a Street Fighter guy, I'm not a fighting game guy, but Street Fighter 6 got 9s out of 10 across the board. It's one of the highest rated fighting games of all time. Like, and then the Devil May Cry 5 did really well. I'm sure Devil May Cry 6 is in the pipeline. Capcom are doing really well. The Monster Hunter series has exploded. You know, like, Capcom are doing fine. They don't need anyone to... yeah. That would be massive, though. If someone came out and said they've acquired Capcom, it'd be like, holy fuck. That would be crazy.
I mean, nuts.
Interesting. Guys, what do you think? Should PlayStation acquire somebody, and who should they acquire? Or are you sick of these acquisitions? Do you want more studios to maintain their independence? What do you think of Xbox officially acquiring Activision Blizzard King? Is there any exciting prospects that are coming out of that? Are you excited about the possibility of older games coming to Game Pass in the future? Or are you excited about what they might do with new IPs in the future? Let us know all your thoughts. Huge win for Xbox, I think. But you know what? A huge win for the Final Fantasy VII community was getting official confirmation that Matt Mercer is the voice of Vincent Valentine.
A huge win for Matt himself.
Oh my god, isn't he like a massive Final Fantasy VII fan?
I think Final Fantasy VII is what got him into fantasy and world building and all that. Because I mean, again, he runs fucking Critical Role. Like, he's the main GM for their campaigns. He's built Exandria. They've written all books. I have some of the graphic novels. I have Wonder books. I have their fucking D&D campaign setting thing that you can look through it. Like, yeah, he's a massive fantasy fan. Yeah, Final Fantasy VII, I think, is his, like, one of, if not his favorite game of all time.
Yeah, so it was cool listening to the panel. So on the 14th of October at New York Comic Con, there was, obviously at Comic Con there's loads of panels and loads of discussions and things like that, but there was a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth cast panel which was hosted by Matt Mercer, and everyone was kind of like, come on, we know, we know it, but he got to officially announce it to great crowd applause as well. But the voice actors for Cloud, Barrett, Tifa, Red 13, and Yuffie were all there. I wonder, would they've had more if they were available, or was there a specific reason why they left out certain people from the party? For example, are they still hiding who's voicing Kate Sith? And is there a reason they didn't want anyone asking the voice actor of Aerith any questions? Given what we know about the sequel, or where it supposedly ends, you know? I just wonder if that was a deliberate choice.
That is a good point. I just kind of thought it was availability reasons to why they didn't have Brianna White there, who voices Aerith. Then Kate Sith never,
because she loves doing Comic Cons. Like, she does loads of them. She loves.
Yeah, I mean, she's a Twitch streamer herself and everything like that. So would make sense to have her there. So yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I was just wondering, was it like a really deliberate reason. Like, was it like, oh, you know, Aerith is up in the air. You know what I mean? Like, we're not hearing much from Aerith, and we're gonna keep her kind of, because she probably has the most guarded secrets, to be fair. You know, and I mean, sometimes the voice actors, even when they're being vague, can give things away, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like Cody Christian, I loved seeing him there, because he doesn't do a lot of these. He doesn't do interviews and stuff so it's really nice to see him, and he was more confident talking about. I
saw his handshake sometimes. He was definitely a bit nervous, but
yeah, and he's great. He's great as Cloud. I love that he was like apprehensive about it, but his voice is perfect for it. But one thing that he said in trying to be vague, if you're a Final Fantasy VII fan, you knew exactly what he was talking about, I think. It's going to be the equivalent of the dance sequence, I suppose. And for anyone who doesn't know, he basically confirmed Sir Alfred and the princess. That's all I'll say. I thought it was very clear that that's what he was talking about. I was like, oh, okay.
I actually thought it was, to be honest, he was actually more referencing one of his mental breakdowns, but maybe it's probably more Alfred than the
Well, only because he said Cloud has like a goofy side that gets to come
Right.
out, you know? So I was like,
Okay.
well, a mental breakdown, I would not describe that as goofy. I would describe that as like dark and foreboding. But I would definitely describe Sir Alfred as goofy.
If I was him, I think it would have been safer to mention probably like the hand massage parlor from Remake.
Sure, yeah.
If you're wanting to talk about, because he brought that up during the question of bloopers in recording. So I think I would have brought that, even if I didn't personally find that funny, I would have brought that up more because that's something you can see on YouTube and a lot of people would have talked about it and everything like that.
Yeah. It's like it's
kind of a lot of reviews. Yeah.
It's more okay to talk about like the first game, isn't it? Because it's like it's been out a few years now, and those who really wanted to play it have played it. And I suppose there might be new gamers now who like the look of Rebirth who are going to now pick up Remake just to get ready for it. Really nice to hear Max Middleman, is that his name? The guy who voices Red 13?
Again, I didn't catch everything. I was about 10 minutes late. So
so when you came in, like what was happening there?
I chimed in on Matt Mercer officially announcing it.
Oh, okay.
And then the image froze and I was just hearing voices, and that's when I had to take out my Mac and watch on my Mac where it was fine from then onwards. That's where I chimed in, and then I missed it. So I didn't see the actual entrance. So I'll agree with you. Sure, that's his name.
Right. But I just thought it was great hearing his stories. And I think they spent a bit of time on the Red 13 on a Chocobo thing, which I thought was pretty funny. Even asking the director when he came out, like, how did that actually happen or come about? I thought it was just
good
funny.
story.
Segue.
I think it's segue is hilarious. I think it's also quite funny it's Red 13. He's got this gruff kind of animalistic voice. And then you listen to your man talking, and he's like Howard Wolowitz from fucking The Big Bang Theory. he doesn't
oh my god!
Like said anything like Red 13, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, he does actually sound like Howard. That's amazing. Did you get the bit then where Matt Mercer described how they announced to him that he was Vincent?
Yes, I seen that. It's great.
I thought that was amazing. I was like, what a way to tell someone. And like they had him waiting for like 9 months. And so for anyone who missed it, and I'm sure if you're into gaming, you know who Matt Mercer is. Like he's voiced fucking everyone, you know. Was it Resident Evil 6 where he voiced Leon S. Kennedy?
The animated movies.
And the animated movies.
And he voiced the Witch King in Shadow of War, Middle-earth Shadow of War. In fact, half of Critical Role are in that.
right.
But yeah, no, he's done.
Well, his acting credits are like we could be here all day, really listening to him. So look him up. Like he's done so many things, and his voice is very recognizable. And he's been in previous Final Fantasies. Like he had a key role in Final Fantasy 15 as like your mentor character, basically. What was his name again? Cole or something like that.
Was he voice Cole?
Yes,
the guy with the katana.
Oh god, yeah, definitely. Yeah. You just
have played that.
That's fucking Matt Mercer, right? But anyway, he so he had actually done like a couple of character like person number 2, or like he gave and he does this in loads of things, like, and lots of big voice actors do, like Nolan North, for example, Troy Baker. They show up in more games than you even realize, like, because they also just do jobs where they give you background voices, where because you can hire one actor, have them for a day, and they'll deliver lots of different voices, and then that's all their background characters and stuff as well. So Matt Mercer did work on Final Fantasy VII Remake as various people in the background. And he auditioned for Rebirth and never heard anything back. But they asked him in to do, random characters again. He was like, well, okay, fine. At least I still get to be part of the game, but obviously a bit disappointed. And they had him reading for characters that he can't really do. Like, they had him reading for Child number 1 and stuff. And he was like, how the fuck am I going to do that? Like, and he was in the booth and they were like, it's not really working or whatever. And could you just try this character? And apparently his screen glitched. And then a picture came up of Vincent Valentine. And that's how they told him that he was going to be playing. They had him actually record like for a full day, a full session before they actually told him who he's really going to be playing. I think that's amazing.
That's what a way. Yes, what a way to announce that, especially because they know he was a huge fan. They know he loved Vince Valentine and the audition for what a way to do that. It's
and they knew
it's like
straight
Christmas.
away he was going to say yes. It's not like it was going to be like, I'll think about it. Like, obviously he was going, yes, yeah, I'll drop everything I'm doing. Yes, I will be Vincent Valentine. I love that he mentioned that he rang up Steve Bloom, who was the voice actor Vincent in the compilation of Final Fantasy VII and in Advent Children and that, and just kind of told him and asked for his blessing and that he was real cool with it and was like, I can't think of anyone better to do it. And that's fucking cool. It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Very cool.
Did you enjoy the panel? Were you hoping for more from it, or what did you think?
No, I thought it was a good length, because you know me, when it comes to this sort of stuff, a part of me slightly fears of, oh Jesus, this is going to take up my entire night. Like sometimes, but forgetting that it's a Comic-Con panel, so obviously they always have a limited amount of time. So I thought it was a good length in that I wanted to hear more.
Yes.
If you know what I mean? So
yeah, it got to a point where it's like, oh, please don't stop. Yeah, like, keep going.
Please don't stop. But also, if you keep going, you're just going to spoil the game. So also, it was a good time to stop. You know what I mean? Like, it was like Pirates of the Caribbean at Dead Man's Chest. You know what I mean? Or is that the name of it?
Yeah.
Dead Man's Chest. Yeah. I was actually combining two titles together there. But Dead Man's Chest of Pirates of the Caribbean, where it's like, this is so good, don't end. But also, thank God you end, because I really
I need to go toilet. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I felt the same way. And I love that even though these actors, who are all amazing, even though they've never, like, most of them had only met each other for the first time that day. Like, they don't actually work together in the booth, you know, because obviously all the motion capture is Japanese voice actors, and the Japanese voice actors record first. Yes. And then these guys come in and do it over that, right? So, which makes sense. It's a Japanese game. Yes. But I love that even at that, they had a good chemistry together, which means that when they were casted, it's very much the people behind the scenes are like, oh, even though they didn't put them together, like, oh, they've got good chemistry, like working together, like their voices go well together, their personalities go well together, and I just loved seeing that they do actually kind of gel well on stage.
Well, I'm assuming all the original voice actors, as in Cloud, Barrett, and Tifa, I'm assuming they've met before that panel.
They must have at some point, right?
Yeah, right. I would assume so. Whether it be at the Game Awards, well, I know actually your man who voiced Barrett.
Yeah,
is his name John?
Yeah, he has streamed with Brianna White.
He streamed Brianna White, and I think the first time he met Cody, I think he said this before, the first time he met Cody was at the Game Awards.
Oh, really?
I think he might have said that. Or did he meet Brianna at the Game Awards? He met one of the actors anyway at the Game Awards. And then, yes, Britta. Sorry, I meant Britta. And then, yes, he streamed with Brianna. Yeah.
I don't know, because I remember watching the only other time I've ever seen Cody talk about these games at all, as like himself, is there was like a KupoCon, which is like a Final Fantasy convention type thing during COVID. They did it online, Zoom call style, very same as like, those crowds doing like those Lord of the Rings reunions and things like that.
Yeah. Oh, well, they would have seen each other.
And I think they meant in person though. So like, yes, they've spoken before, obviously. Yes. But I think they just meant all of them together in person. This was like the first time.
Yeah, actually, I think it was at that where the man who voiced Barrett said that he met one of the voice actors at the Game Awards.
Yeah, and I remember at that he was praising Cody a lot, and Cody was very shy and kind of embarrassed, but he was like saying, this guy, let me tell you, this guy, he was like his wingman, basically. He's great. John Eric Bentley has great energy.
Yes. The story was great. I like that it's like, I got the voice acted from taking the piss out of theater heads.
Yeah, basically. Someone pointed out as well, and Max, who plays Red 13, is the only one who didn't do this. But if you look at what everyone else is wearing, it matches the colors of their characters. They're all,
I didn't notice that.
John Eric Bentley was wearing like a green jacket over, and Cody had like the black top, because Cloud in the remake is wearing black. Matthew Mercer had red.
He did
on
have
him
red
underneath the thing. Is it Brit or Britta? Britta Barron, she had a white top and a black bottoms. I think
otherwise we're saying it wrong.
And oh, what's her name that does Yuffie? But she had a green top, so they were like matching their. They weren't cosplaying, but they were the colors of their characters. That was a. I don't know if it was totally coincidence, but it feels like there was too many of them for it to be a complete coincidence. You know.
Britt Barron. It's Britt Barron, not Britta.
Britt Barron. Her voice is every time she speaks, I'm like, oh my god, it's Tifa.
Oh, she doesn't put on a voice. She just is Tifa. It's amazing. She looks like the type of one though where if you're in a bar fight, I'd rather her in the fight with me because I'd say she can kick ass.
Oh god, yeah. She'd fuck you up. She'd kick ass. I liked as well. They asked at points they got to talk about, you know, how they got into the industry, and they ended up mentioning like games that were their favorites and all. And I like that they feel no pressure to be like, oh yeah, no, Final Fantasy VII is my favorite. Like, but they obviously all have a history of Final Fantasy. So like Max was like, Final Fantasy VIII is my favorite game of all time. By the way, someone needs to get him and Ben Starr, who did Clive, together for a podcast so that they can gush, because it'll be two Final Fantasy heads who are voice actors gushing about Final Fantasy VIII. I think people would love that. Someone needs to get that together.
If they remake 8, I hope both of them are in it.
God, yes. As anyone.
One of them, well, you can have literally one of them play Squall and the other one play, what's the guy that's with him? Oh, he kind of uses fists. I can't remember his name. I know one of the girls. Actually, you know,
do you know what? Ben Starr could do a really good voice, I think, for Seifer. Is that his name?
So actually, if they get both of them to be Squall and Seifer, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, because they obviously have great range with their voices and that. But someone needs to organize anyway them just discussing their love of Final Fantasy VIII. It would be plus it'd be cool for the two of them to interact with each other.
Yes.
But and then the voice actor for Yuffie was saying how Final Fantasy X was her favorite game ever, and she played it so much that like her mom would come in, and no matter what game she was playing, she's like, "Oh, is this Final Fantasy?" Because she was usually playing Final Fantasy X. And then it was really funny then when she said she got the jobs. Like, guess what job I got? Is it Final Fantasy? So that was really good. Cool. I was kind of half open, but I think I was hoping too much that at some point, because they kept talking about, oh, we have a surprise later on, and obviously it was Naoki Hamaguchi, and it's cool to talk to him. But I thought there'd be like a small clip or something. I don't know. But it's too soon after we've already gotten loads.
Yes.
So the next time we see anything, probably will be the Game Awards.
For any big other big announcements,
a trailer, you know, like here's Sid. I could see that happening at the Game Awards. That's probably the next time we get a trailer for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Was it Susie Young actually? Sorry, was it Susie Young that did Yuffie?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
And she does a great job. And if you want to hear more of her before Rebirth, go play fucking Intermission for.
She's awesome.
She's fucking great in it. Which is like one of her first big acting jobs. It was fucking
so
crazy.
For her and Cody, this is their big voice acting jobs, and they fucking ace it. Like, so good.
Yeah.
Really cool. Annoying. I'm jealous of them.
So if you haven't seen the panel, you can go look it up. Square Enix, or if you go onto like Final Fantasy VII's like social medias, they had the link where you could go find it. I thought it was gonna be on YouTube, so I found it hard to find at first, but then I remembered that they said they were going to share it, so then I went, right, I'll just go onto their site to see where they're sharing it. And you can find it there. But if you have seen it, let us know your thoughts. Or if you just want to share your thoughts on Matt Mercer playing Vincent, now that it's official, let us know what you think. And is there anyone else in the industry that you'd love to see announced playing other people in the game that we haven't seen yet? You have someone? Oh, Eric, you would like to play someone? Or
obviously I would like to play someone.
I would play anyone.
Anyone.
If someone was like, we need a voice actor to play Person 4 or whatever in any place in Final Fantasy VII anywhere, I would fucking drop everything I'm doing and do it. I would love to say my voice is in there somewhere.
Even if it was, I want you to play one of the women on the Costa Seldal beach who's like
with Hojo.
I'd be like, yeah, of course, I could do that.
I will even cosplay doing that. to get into character. I'd fucking absolutely do that. Yeah, anyone that's not casted for the third one, obviously the second one is like is there, like, you know, if there's someone that you still need for the third one, you just
Just call us. Call us. We're good.
Just hook us
We've
up.
done acting. We've done plays.
We've done acting. We can do it.
We've done plays.
We have a little bit of experience. We could do it.
You want us to be Diamond Weapon? That's grand. I'll growl.
It's obviously not going to happen, right? And this is not like, oh, no, it can happen, because this character will have already been casted. But I think it would be fucking awesome if they announced Josh Holloway was doing the voice of Sid Highwind.
It would be pretty cool.
And I know he's not a voice actor, but it's not like they don't get actors in, and like his voice is perfect.
Yes.
For Sid Highwind. I can't see him not doing it. I remember watching Lost as a kid and always thinking, the guy who plays Sawyer, even like before I knew his name or whatever, the guy who plays Sawyer, he'd be great as Sid from Final Fantasy VII if they ever like did that as a movie or something like that. But if they came out and said, oh, Josh Holloway is the Western actor for Sid, I'd lose my mind. I'd be like, that's perfect. That is actually... But I'm sure whoever they get is going to be perfect anyway. There's lots of people who could play Sid. I'm excited to hear him say, sit down and drink your goddamn tea! I can't fucking wait. I think he actually says, because they censor it obviously, but I think it says, sit the fuck down and drink your goddamn tea.
Yeah, it's a very questionable opening for like this character that's one of the heroes. It's like, oh, he is a proper a-hole.
Yeah, and you know what? I hope they don't shy away from that. I hope they actually do present Sid as a slightly abusive guy that you're like, more verbally, obviously. He was like verbally abusive, but I hope they still like lean into that where you're like, I don't like this guy. He's a fucking asshole, and he has to like redeem himself through the story.
Yeah, I think it's a natural,
that's important.
Yeah, it's a natural thing as well to show that as being really bad, and then show him transition into like a nice, caring person, like what someone should be like, essentially, rather than being abusive. It's a good character arc for him.
Yeah, and plus it hits harder than when he's, you know, spoiler alert for the original, when he's up in space looking down at the planet and he suddenly has this realization of like, oh, our hopes and dreams up there aren't as important as we need to look after our home, and it needs protecting and it's vulnerable, and like that's going to be such a beautiful moment, like, you know.
Oh, the game, it's like it doesn't age. It's like Lord of the Rings, it doesn't age, right?
It's so
like,
good.
They both have the same message of look after the planet. That's why when watching Lord of the Rings or playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, when I see Eric's home, or in the extended edition Lord of the Rings, and Bilbo's narrating about how the hobbits just love things and grow, and Sam taking it to the planet, it's just, it makes me cry, because I'm like, yes, that's what we should be caring about and looking after, is the planet, and we're off freaking bombing each other because of stuff that happened 10 years ago. Yeah.
It's a timeless story.
It's a timeless story. It's a beautiful story.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, let us know your hype levels for Rebirth.
Obviously,
it's to the moon and back and beyond, to be honest. But can't wait for it. More discussions of it to come in the future. So make sure you are subscribed or following the podcast for those. I just want to finish on one last thing before we bring this week's episode to a close. And that is that one of the most anticipated games of the year, Spider-Man 2, releases this week. And at time of this podcast being out, there's obviously lots of reviews for it now. Like, outlets are going to have their reviews out. People can check them out. But the hype levels for this are huge, right? And obviously we can't talk about it yet. We haven't got it yet. When we have Spider-Man 2, we will, of course, be talking about it, sharing our impressions of it, and talking about the game. Definitely looking forward to playing it. But with this being such a huge superhero game releasing, Eric, I just want to ask. You're worried now for a second and go, what's your favorite superhero game? No, that's actually not what I'm going to ask.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. I'm actually going to ask.
What's my least favorite?
Yeah. What game do you think is total shit? No, John. What superhero game would you like to see in the future? So whether it's a game about a certain character, and how might that play? Now, I'm not looking for like a big full-on pitch for
Well,
10 minutes.
well,
But if there's like a game, I was
you
like,
could
oh,
have
do you
asked that question.
well, no, but it's okay if you have one. That's
Uh,
cool. But I'm just curious. Like, yeah, we're excited for Spider-Man 2. Obviously, down the line, there's going to be Wolverine. There's lots more superhero games being made. Is there one? And it could be of a superhero that already has a game, but it's just that you wanted to play a bit differently or something. But is there a superhero you'd love to see adapted into a video game, and how might that play?
Okay, right. Oh, so many. I'm not gonna lie, so many.
Okay, cool.
So many heroes. I mean, Superman. It'd be so fun and cool to play Superman. We are getting a Wonder Woman game, so I don't have to mention that. The Flash or Aquaman would be really cool.
Yeah,
Like
that
being
would be cool.
underwater, dealing with like ancient, like Atlantean, like you got like this superhero Uncharted or Tomb Raider style thing going on with him, which would be awesome. I think Ghost Rider or Blade would be very cool.
Yes, yeah,
I
definitely.
think that'd be awesome. So something like that where you have these characters that you can do a lot with. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like you have an abundance, like Superman, you have an abundance of villains to fight and deal with. You have abundance of characters. Aquaman, you also have loads of villains and you have characters, but you just have this beautiful underwater world that you can explore, which I think would be really awesome. Blade, I mean, you just got that kind of vampire hunter dream going on with Blade. And Ghost Rider, you got that fucking demon hunting while fighting criminals as well. Ghost Hunter fights criminals and he fights demons. And I think that'd be interesting as well to explore that darker side of the Marvel. So with Superman, with DC, it's like explore the otherworldly, while with Marvel, it's explore the demonic, the underworld. I think it'd be really awesome.
So if you could green light one of those games, which
Oh,
one would
God damn
which
it.
one
I
would
was-
excite you most?
I was hoping to give a political answer.
No, like I mean, obviously, yeah, in the dream world, let's have them all. But well, we're still in dream world anyway because we're speculating about. We're not speculating, but we're like, oh, these are games I'd love to see, but like, they might never happen, or they might happen. But if you could get one of those, which one would you like be most excited about? Like tomorrow, it gets announced, you're just like, oh fuck yeah.
I suppose in a perfect world where it would be perfect, Superman.
Yeah, I mean it's fucking impossible though, right? Like
It's impossible, but well,
actually, well, speaking on that, you shared the clip of Omni-Man's gameplay. I mean, Omni-Man's like an evil Superman, but you shared a clip of his gameplay from MK1 that was shared at New York Comic Con, which we were just talking about. What did you think of that?
I thought that was awesome. There was like everything he did in it was like that's from the show. Like
Yeah.
like that's so cool, and I think he'd be very fun to play. And, like the more I see of that game, the more I'm like, I can't wait for like the like the full released version to get it, so that you'd have everything.
Yeah.
Like I'll definitely wait for that because
It makes more sense, right?
it does make more sense. But yeah, it'd be interesting having him and having J.K. Simmons voicing him. But I mean, they could look at that for inspiration. Somewhat inspiration to do a Superman game, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one. If someone can crack it, it'd be amazing, though.
It would be amazing because how do you
make someone feel like Superman? Because that is ultimately nowadays what you would have to do. It can't just be you control a version of Superman. That works well in a game like Injustice where you're controlling lots of characters and it's just, these are Superman's movesets. But it's like, if it's a Superman game, Superman is on the title and it's like, you're controlling Superman, go.
Yes.
And if afterwards you're like, I feel so limited, like it feels like the game is stopping me from doing all the things I should be able to do. Hence why it's so hard to do a Superman game, I would say. A modern one.
The only thing I could see them doing is Lex Luthor or Brainiac or some villain, Mr. Mix, whatever his name is, limits you somehow, and that's why you're building back up. And then by the end, you have that power. Like you're going faster than Speeding Bullet, you're doing your freeze breath or your laser eyes or whatever it is.
And you'll never be able to make a sequel.
You'd never be able to make sense.
Well,
Green Lantern would be fun.
I was just going to say, a game I would love to see is Green Lantern, right?
Right.
Because I think it would play really well as an RPG, where your main character is Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
But you do actually control the Green Lantern Corps. Maybe you take two people out with you at a time, Mass Effect style, right?
Right.
And in your skill tree, you spend willpower points on unlocking new versions of like things that you can create, right?
Right.
And then when you have them, Final Fantasy VII Remake style, during normal combat, you build up your willpower bar. And certain abilities that you have unlocked cost more willpower than others, but you are using your willpower then to unleash or summon or create those abstractions or those abilities that you have unlocked. And you can do that with the various characters that you have, and maybe they have different ones that they can unlock or different things that they can create. Right. And I think it'd be a really good spacefaring RPG where you're going around visiting the different planets. It would work like Mass Effect that way, where when you pick a planet and go to it, there's an area, but you don't just explore the whole planet or anything like that. And it's the cosmic side of the DC universe taking on various different villains. Obviously, Sinestro would play a huge role, but you could also go into like, you know, various other Green Lantern enemies, hints at like the various different rings and what they do, and the huger mythology behind, you know, Green Lantern. I think people, when they think Green Lantern nowadays in pop culture, they're still thinking of that movie. But I think you can make a really badass video game that shows, because like if you read some of the later comics and stuff, like Green Lantern's story is so fucking cool. Like you talk about, and like imagine Blackest Night as a DLC or something. I just think that game, plus it's how the abilities could work in gameplay. Where it's like, how the hell do you limit that? It's like, okay, you limit it by making it an RPG where willpower, which is what they use to channel the ring's power, is your XP or your skill points. So you're spending that on abilities, but then you have to replenish it again, and you build it up by fighting, which is like building up your willpower, you know?
Yeah, and
I think that translates really well.
Having the other lanterns as teammates is a good way of, well, I suppose just introducing the other lanterns into the game.
Absolutely. Yeah. But you control, maybe you can switch to the others during battle, but you control, through most of the game, you control Hal.
Yeah, you control Hal,
still your
and
main
then
character.
You kind of, you know what? It just works exactly like Final Fantasy VII Remake. You mainly control Cloud, and you can tell the others to do abilities, but sometimes you can swap to the others as well. Yeah, it just works exactly like that. It's just perfect. That's what you do. If you want to do a Superman game, you just do Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Well, there you go, guys. Those are just some cool superhero games that we'd love to see in the future, and cool ways you could do them. But we are obviously very excited for Spider-Man 2. Looking forward to seeing what happens in Insomniac's big sequel in the story, finding out finally who their version of Venom is going to be, and we will be talking about it. So make sure you are following our podcast to hear our thoughts on Spider-Man 2. If you watch this YouTube, make sure you hit subscribe and click the notification bell when you know that comes out. If you enjoyed this discussion, please give us a thumbs up. And anything you want to share, any of your takes on anything that we brought up in this week's episode, please share it down into the comments. And if you guys are listeners on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twixter, as we call it, at The Brothers Take, to give your take on everything we bring up. What's a superhero game you'd love to see in the future? How hyped are you for Spider-Man 2? And what were your thoughts on everything else that we brought up in this week's episode? Please do let us know and follow our podcast. Thank you very much for checking out this week's episode. We will be back to talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.